I am suggesting a ban on critical race theory. I am suggesting in public schools and public colleges an outright ban on this stuff in the classroom, and in private colleges and universities, I'm encouraging the faculty and the students and the parents and the trustees and the people who fund the endowment. I am suggesting that these people force this trash out of the classroom.
Love it. Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire with the obvious. Critical race theory, the holy grail of wokeness, must be removed from schools. And believe it or not, most Americans do agree with that. In Texas, a state lawmaker just introduced a bill to ban critical race theory from public schools. Here to discuss all this is Michael Knowles, the host of the Michael Knowles Show on the Daily Wire, also the author of the new book, Speechless, Controlling Words, Controlling Minds. Michael, good to see you.
Great to see you.
So for those of us that haven't been following the story, just quickly give us the broad strokes of what critical race theory is, why this is so dangerous.
So coincidentally, I've spent the last year and a half of my life reading about all this crazy nonsense. Yeah. And in fewer than 350 pages, what you need to know about critical theory broadly and these subdivisions of this critical race theory is that the theory is simple. The theory is to criticize. It is a purely destructive pseudo-academic movement. The people who developed this sort of thing in the early part of the 20th century and who really saw it flower in the later part of the 20th century, they admitted that this is very different than the traditional sort of academic curriculum that you would get in a college or in a high school, or actually even younger now. What this is about is upending the traditional Western society and in its place establishing, to use a technical term, cultural hegemony for the radicals. These early radicals recognized that their political revolution was never going to work if they didn't have a hold on the common sense. And the best way to get a hold on the common sense is through education, which is why the radicals spent a whole lot of their time doing that. Yep. And then by causing a war of position throughout all of the established institutions of society, and then over time, finally exercising their power. That is what you're seeing happen now. Hemingway uses this line. He says people go bankrupt gradually, then suddenly. We're in the suddenly moment.
It's so scary. It really is. And it just injects race into everything, right? And it makes people perpetual victims always. We have an example of this stuff in the classroom. This clip has been making the rounds on social media. This is an online class at a public school in Ashburn, Virginia. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Just tell me what this seems to be a picture of.
It's just two people chilling.
I don't believe that you believe that.
Well, I'm confused. Are you trying to get me to say that there are two different races in this picture?
Yes,
is that what you want me to say? Well, at the end of the day, wouldn't that just be feeding into the problem of looking at race instead of just acknowledging them as two normal people?
I mean, these liberal wacko teachers, I mean, it's funny how so many of them are white, by the way. That's the funniest part to me. That student said it best. We're being taught to see race in everything. Isn't that the opposite of what we were trying to do in this country all those years? We were trying to take race away, right? Now we're injecting it back in.
And the thesis of all of this, of course, is that the white supremacy that is so pervasive that it's actually causing racial minorities to attack other racial minorities. I'm serious. They're actually alleging this. White supremacy causes that. And we can never be aware of it because it comes from our implicit biases. Well, if it's implicit, then I guess there's not a whole lot we can do about it. I can work on my explicit biases, but if it's implicit, what they're saying is you just have to castigate yourself, whip yourself across the back, and say that you're bad and your country's bad, and that's all there is to it.
And it's implicit, so there's nothing that you can do about it. It'll always be there. It's baked into everything, so we can't fix it. We just have to just fall on our knees and just basically shoot ourselves. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.